All right, well, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. My name's Hannah Matson. I work in the alumni office, and we're excited to kick off homecoming with the Albion web series. So on the web series so far, we have had alumni teach yoga, how to make the best brownie in Albion. We have said goodbye to a president, hello to a president, and tonight we get to take on the unique challenge of tailgating virtually. So many of us have learned in the last 6 months that some things translate better to Zoom than others, and companies all over the world are pausing to say, what is the true purpose of our events, and can we really capture that on Zoom? And so when we were thinking about homecoming in particular, and what is homecoming really about, I think a lot of it, it's about being with your people. And it's an interesting thing about the memory of a place and the importance of people that you would drive any number of miles to see. And so we hope tonight can just be a sliver of that feeling of home for you guys. So when we were thinking about who could gather people and bring that sense of home, Cliff and Karen were two of the first people to come to mind. They exemplify so many of the things that are great about Albion faculty. They go by their first names with their students. They're direct and approachable. They love the community as much as they love the college. But I think the thing that I hear most consistently from both alumni and students is that even if they failed organic chemistry or found out that they didn't actually know what communications was, they knew that Cliff and Karen really cared about them and that they were going to be in their corner fighting with them all 4 years at Albion. And whatever laid beyond. So we're so grateful to have Cliff and Karen and some of their alumni with us tonight to share a little bit about what they're up to, the way that we would if we were all in Albion together. So with that, I'm just gonna make sure that everybody's muted tonight, just so you know, we will have time afterwards to unmute and people can socialize. But we do mute people for the scheduled programming. So if you wanna type in the chat, go for it. But other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and ask Cliff to start us off. Thanks for coming, and can you let us know how things have been in the wild year of 2020 for you and chemistry?
Thank you, Hannah. And I was laughing when you said we have our students call us by our first names, because my students have to earn the right to do that. They have to pass organic chemistry, and then they can use my first name. Before that, it's all Dr. Harris.
That's pretty good.
I don't think that's a very motivating thing. I don't think that's why they work hard, but it's still true. Hi, everybody. My name is Clifford Harris. I've been teaching in the chemistry department for 23 years now. Sorry, Bob. I know, that's funny. So in the chemistry department, it was a very bizarre time last March, as same as for everyone else. I got the news on a Sunday night that Michigan was shutting down, and Karen and I went to our offices and loaded our office chairs and all of our equipment that we needed and books and stuff that we thought we might need to teach at home, and built 2 offices in our home overnight. And that's where we taught from the next months. We went months and months with only really leaving the house to get groceries every 2 or 3 weeks. So just like the rest of you, it was a very surreal time. It was really strange how it affected teaching, because the students mostly didn't have anything else to do. So some of them, I think it actually saved their grade. They had lots of distractions at Albion College until until their favorite thing to do was talk to me on Google, because otherwise they were at home with their parents, who they love, but who they saw enough during the day. So it was kind of a strange time. I actually recruited 6 majors out of that class who voluntarily did organic chemistry, advanced organic chemistry, if you can believe it, over the summer. And so they taught, and then we went even beyond that time, and I taught them advanced organic all summer, all the way up until the Friday before classes began in August. So very, very strange, very strange time. The rest of the department did the same. I mean, they bounced right into the new way of doing things really quickly. In fact, my first couple of lectures were live feeds on Facebook Live, where I just invited everybody to a web page called Organic Chemistry with Harris, and went Facebook Live. And so I had alums for the first couple of days that were checking in and seeing how I was doing. And then we discovered Google Meet, and here we are. So yeah, that was how all that went. I really wish this would feel more like homecoming if I was having a beer, but I actually have a class going on across the hall. So that would probably be inappropriate. That would be the first time I've done anything inappropriate ever. Hey, let me, so in that advanced organic chemistry class, I invited some of my alumni back to speak to that class. And it turned out that those 6 majors I recruited were all really high-powered young women. And so I invited 5 or 6 of my alumni who happened to also be high-powered young women, all back to talk to them, which was kind of cool. So let me introduce them for a bit and let them talk about that stuff. So the first one on my screen is Lisa Anderson, graduated in 2009. Lisa, say hello and tell us a little about what you're doing.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Cliff. Can y'all hear me okay? Thumbs up. Sweet. All right. Yeah, so thanks for inviting me, Cliff and Hannah. I had the pleasure of partaking in Cliff's mini seminar series this summer. Yeah, and this is actually my first homecoming. So I graduated in 2009. I'm based out of California. And so I just haven't had a chance to make it, but here I am. We are virtually. And so I just wanted to, yeah, give a kind of brief overview of what I've been up to since I graduated in 2009. Yeah, I had the pleasure of having Cliff as an advisor. And I'll tell a brief story. I have to tell a Cliff story. It's a good one, don't worry. That I knew I was interested in science and in research. And I was looking at these summer internships and I applied and it was kind of late. And these were offsite, off campus. And I hadn't heard back and I went to Cliff, to his office one day. I was like, hey, Cliff, I haven't heard back. And what he did, at that minute picked up the phone, he called the office of one of the places I applied in New Mexico and said, hey, you should bring out Lisa for a summer research internship. And I got an email the next day that they were going to bring me out for a summer internship. And so I think, it's stories like this, and professors advocating for their students, which, yeah, just really makes me glow about Albion. And so that opened up the door for me to research. I was really excited about sustainability and renewable energy, renewable products. And so I went on to do a PhD at UC Davis, where I studied algae for biofuels. I then went on to do a postdoc at MIT, studying making bioproducts from yeast. And that landed me in kind of my current role as a analytical chemist at a company called Amyris. We engineer microbes like yeast to make bioproducts to replace petroleum-based products. And also am a huge advocate for green labs and sustainability. And I can't, thank Albion enough for my experience in getting me to where I am. Also, at Albion, I played softball, was in the jazz band, in the Environmental Institute, and Kappa Kappa Psi. Thanks.
Hey, thank you, Lisa. And I put the link to Lisa's company in the chat there if you want to go check it out. It's super cool. They convert all kinds of natural products to things that replace fossil fuels. So it's kind of cool. The next of my folks on my screen is Caronel. Hello, Dr. Nell. It's hard for me to use your new last name. Still new to me.
I know. I think you'll always call me Sherman. That's okay. So I was Kara Sherman when I went to Albion. I really wanted to be a poli-sci major, and I was very set on that until Harris called Grossman, who was at that time the head of poli-sci, and said I would no longer be a poli-sci major. So that changed that. But I also definitely fell in love with chemistry when I took organic chemistry. I know that's not everyone's story, but I do love organic chemistry, especially like the first semester when you're doing the like why things work. Second semester wasn't as much fun, but that's okay. When I was at Albion, I was also in the Environmental Institute. I had the pleasure of overlapping with Lisa and working with her and some other like super awesome, all happened to be women, but people while we were there. And was also really interested in sustainability and working on environmental problems and technology to solve environmental problems. I went on to my PhD at the University of Oregon, heavily influenced by Cliff. He also helped me get a summer internship position there after my junior year at Albion. And I got my PhD working with materials for water purification and what's called a supermolecular chemistry lab. So we focus a lot on like the why chemistry happens. And then I like to apply that to environmental problems. After my PhD, I went on to Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. So my PhD work was also in collaboration with Pacific Northwest National Lab because I am such an applied scientist. So it makes sense for me to work in collaboration with national labs. And I was at Berkeley for a postdoc for approximately 9 months, which is the exact amount of time that I was pregnant. I had my daughter and then moved here to my current position. This is my 4th year teaching at the University of Minnesota Morris. I'm a chemistry professor here now. My research group has 8 students in it right now, so we're pretty active, but it's a lot of fun. And right now I'm really interested in nitrate and water sources and how we can think about removing excess nitrates, but also just like not having so many excess nitrates and kind of looking at ag stuff. It's pretty heavily influenced by the area that I'm in right now. Learning a lot about the prairie, but it's been fun.
Hey, Kara, what field did you tell me you were not going into no matter what?
I would never be a professor at a small liberal arts institution, which is exactly what I'm doing. Cool. Yeah.
It's so funny. So I suggested both to Kara that she go to Oregon and Lisa that she go. Actually, I think I suggested Davis and Oregon to both of you because you both fit there really well. And it's kind of funny that they both did. The story I'll tell about Kara real quick is that when she went there for her REU, she came back and then she wouldn't apply for graduate school anywhere except Oregon. And I was getting really mad at her and really bad out of shape. And then I found out she'd fallen in love with a dude while she was out there, and he was already a graduate student, so that's the only place she was going to go. I was like, why didn't you tell me this a month ago? So anyway, they're happily married now, and they have the most wonderful daughter ever. So thank you, Kara. Okay, Melissa Love is the next on my screen. Hi, Melissa.
Hi everybody. It's good to see some familiar faces on here. Thank you, Cliff and Hannah, for organizing this. This is awesome. Yeah, it was also a really great experience for me this summer to get to talk to Cliff's class of the upperclassmen who are working really hard, taking extra credit. And it's always a pleasure to reconnect with folks at Albion. Cliff has been definitely a huge influence in my life and my career. I also, he was my advisor at Albion, and I also did a FERSCA project with him, did some summer research while I was there, which definitely ignited my love for research and made me want to stay in the sciences. I have I guess a mini story about Cliff as well. I was applying for graduate programs in chemistry, and I was just not really pulling the trigger, didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. And Cliff sat me down one day in his office and he said, Melissa, what are you doing? Like, all the deadlines are starting to slip. You need to pull it together. What do you really want? And I said, I'm not really sure. I don't really know what to do. So he said, why don't you take a year off, go work and actually figure it out. And not only that, but he actually helped me find a job in the Detroit area. So I worked as a research assistant for a private company in Troy, Michigan. Cliff knew the founder of the company. So really great experience. And it actually showed me a different way to do research other than just organic chemistry. So at that point, I applied to get a PhD in pharmacology. So I started that in 2008. So I did my PhD out at Penn in Philadelphia. And I finished that up in 2014. And my dissertation was focused on trying to study a human protein that has a natural defense against the malaria parasite. and trying to use small molecules to kind of mimic that effect. And that actually ignited my love for global health and working in infectious diseases. So after I graduated from Penn, I got a job in San Diego, where I am currently at a company called Caliber. We're a small research institute, and now we're a part of Scripps Research, which is a big research institute. So my focus this entire time has been on infectious diseases and trying to find new drugs to treat infectious diseases, specifically for global health. So we're funded by a lot of charitable organizations like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to find new drugs to treat diseases that are a big problem in resource-limited countries in sub-Saharan Africa and Southern Asia. So I've been there now for almost 6 years, and so now I'm a principal investigator, and so I have my own group within the greater infectious disease group, and I'll be leading a program to try to find new drugs for a diarrheal parasite. So yeah, it's been kind of a cool ride, but yeah, I like to joke with Cliff that I've left the dark side of chemistry, and I now don't do any chemistry personally anymore, but chemistry still is a big part of what I do every day. And yeah, I don't think I would be where I am today if it wasn't for my experience at Albion and working closely with educators who really love their students and really want them to succeed. So I'm very, very grateful to my time at Albion.
This is awesome. I want to have this every week where everybody comes in and tells me how awesome I am. Let's set this up regular, okay? I'll make my calendar for this. This is good stuff. All right, I don't think that my other students could make it, but I have 2 minutes left of my time. So how about Catherine Fontana, you jump in, because we did some work together, and you're a badass.
I basically barely passed OChem. Well, I'm not a chemist, but I love you all, and I take a lot of inspiration from you. And I feel like the closest I've inched to chemistry since I've left Albion is gotten more into biochemistry. But right now for a long time, I worked in New York City doing medical communications and healthcare marketing, and I really, really, really missed research. So about 2 years ago, I took a job back as a scientist at the University of Arizona, and I work for their Center for Environmentally Sustainable Mining. What I do there is primarily work as an environmental microbiologist, looking at below ground indicators for soil reclamation, and also looking at the microbes there to try and figure out what are the best ways that we can revegetate these areas that are degraded and disturbed by mining, which are actually a lot of places in the United States and the world. So I guess in that light, it links back to all the environmental stuff I did at Albion. It's really amazing, just the breadth and the depth of what's out in the world that you can apply your Albion degree to. Cliff, is there anything I missed? I know
But we worked in the Environmental Institute together, right?
Yes.
Did we go on one of those crazy trips that was led by Tim Lincoln?
No.
We weren't on those same trips together?
No.
My memory's all traumatized because I had to share a tent with Wes Dick for 3 weeks.
Oh.
So that's all I remember from the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's an experience that I will never forget, for sure. Okay, thanks a lot. Well, listen, I've used up all my time, and I'm gonna hand it over to Dr. Erlandson, who both looks better and has a better background. Although, don't forget that. Support Albion College and walk the beat.
I was trying to simulate the tailgate, and I'm pretty sure if I move my head, I'm pretty sure this is the ChemComm tent right there. You can see where my little hand is. So it would have been much funner if we were all hanging out in the parking lot and, hanging out in person, face to face. We've had a lot of changes in the comm department, probably not for my most recent grads here, but for some people where it had been a while. We used to, be way down in the Herrick Center when I arrived in 2002. We were also speech communication, previously speech communication and theater, but we changed to communication studies in '94. And then, I don't know, it was maybe 8 or 10 years ago, we moved up into Olin. So we've been up on the quad since then. And we've had a lot of really cool curricular changes. we've had a lot of faculty turnover with retirement and some of those things, and that gave us really cool opportunity to bring in people who were doing really cutting edge things in our field, things like sport communication, health communication. Some of our biggest news is that we just made our marketing majors. We've got an integrated marketing communication major, which I'm sure Justin would have loved when he had been here at Albion to be able to take part of that. But I think you got some of that experience at the Philadelphia Center. But those are some of the new things that have been going on. We're really excited about. We're working pretty closely with the Wilson Institute with the health concentration, the public health concentration. So that's some of the stuff we're doing. We're probably going to do a minor in health comm. We've also added a sport comm class and a sport marketing class. So we're thinking about maybe trying to do a minor in sport marketing as well, because we have a lot of students that are super interested in that. We've got an event management class now. So all kinds of things that we have that we didn't have before. And all of that is from the specialty that our pretty fabulous faculty have brought to the department. But we have equally amazing alumni, and I was excited to invite people back. I wanted to invite people back kind of a recent, some recent grads. So my grads are from 2020, 2018, and 2016. And I think that they show pretty good sort of breadth about our field. People in organic chemistry often, stay to get a degree in that. They're sort of a path, or else you go into industry like Melissa did. Our field is pretty bifurcated. People go off and do all kinds of things. So I wanted to give a little bit of representation about what some of our alumni do, because Rachel's in grad school, which is one thing our majors do. Chris is a store manager, which is another thing that our people do, is management. And Justin is actually an account executive for marketing at a firm, which is another thing that a lot of our majors do. So I was trying to give some representation to get some voices from 3 different areas of what our alumni do. So I think I will go in reverse chronological order with our most further along grad, which would be Justin. I think you graduated, Rachel, you graduated in 2018, right? Justin was 2016. Yeah, so I'm going to start with Justin. So he graduated in 2016 from Albion, and he is now an account executive at the marketing arm, which, as you can see from his beautiful background, is in Chicago. So I will turn it over to you, Justin, and it's so good to see your face.
Yeah, so good to see you. Hi, how's it going?
Good.
So I can give a little background into what I'm doing now and kind of what I've been doing since I graduated. Like Karen said, I am currently at a marketing agency called the Marketing Arm. And I've only been there for about 6 or 8 weeks, so I somehow managed to switch jobs during the pandemic, so interesting. So at Albion, I studied communication studies. I was a member of the student marketing committee, the swim team, union board, Delta Tau Delta, and I participated in the Philadelphia Center as well. So kind of at my time at Albion, I thought I wanted to focus more so in event planning and go that route. But then it wasn't until I had an internship post-grad that I actually realized that advertising is kind of the route I wanted to go in. So after graduation, I worked for an agency in Detroit called Donor. And there I was an account coordinator. So the way agencies are kind of broken up is between, account, which is the client facing. We handle a lot of the day-to-day communication with the client, the day-to-day communication with the creative team, the strategy team, and production. And then, so I was an account coordinator on FCA, so Fiat and Chrysler Automobiles. So we worked with a whole slew of cars there, Jeep, Ram, Dodge, Chrysler, Fiat, and Alfa Romeo. And I kind of touched all parts of the advertising there. So print advertising, working on the commercials, working on the radio spots, working on point of sale, which is the things you see at the dealership. So the different, posters and things like that. And then from there, I actually decided to specialize in social media for Chrysler. So I went to a new agency called Society, which was in Birmingham, Michigan, and worked very, very closely with another Albion alum, Christy Wysocki, if any of you know her. She was my boss at that agency. And there I specialize in Alfa Romeo social media advertising, working with a lot of different influencers on social media and working, developing a lot of photo shoots, doing different content for the cars. And then unfortunately that in the agency world, it's kind of bizarre. Corporations are going with different agencies every couple of years. So that agency lost the account, which kind of led me to Chicago, where I worked at an agency called We Are Unlimited. And they were a bespoke agency built for McDonald's. So I actually, for the past 2 years, was working on McDonald's, specializing in their social media, and a few other different LTOs, so limited time offers, deals that they would have. I would work on those campaigns throughout the year as well. So my big projects for McDonald's were every single year doing the Shamrock Shake season. So whenever that came about, that was a big one for me. And also the Mcrib. So I know those are my two specialties. On social media, we could get a little bit more quirky, and those were a little bit more of the quirky menu items at McDonald's.
And people were pissed when they took those McRibs away from me.
Yeah, but people don't realize it comes back every single year.
Yeah.
So what we tried to do last year for our campaign for that was, develop a 5th season, which was McRib season. So we did a bunch of, fake holiday videos and developed, traditions for the McRib. So it's very cheesy, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. We got to go out to LA and shoot that, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
And then currently,
yeah.
And then actually in my current role, I like I said, I've only been here about 6 weeks, but I'm now doing advertising for State Farm. So going from burgers to insurance has been a little bit different. But what I'm really excited about this opportunity is I am working on the diversity and inclusion team, headlining the LGBTQ content for State Farm. So I think, with everything going on in the world, State Farm really wanted to make sure they were taking a stance on these very important issues in society. And, this is something that is very much in my wheelhouse, my passion points. Actually, while I was at Albion, I did a thesis on the parasocial contact hypothesis theory, which basically demonstrates that media and exposure to different issues in media can change people's viewpoints. So that's kind of what I feel like I'm doing at State Farm now. So we're about to release some content. Unfortunately, I can't talk about it too much because it's not out yet. But we're really working to develop some bespoke LGBTQ content for State Farm, and to let people know that one good neighbor in your life can, really change the way you see the world. So
That's awesome.
yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing now in Chicago.
Since the last time you came to talk to the department, I think you've been at three different places since then, so that's kind of fun. We'll have to have you back to talk about all that.
Yeah, advertising has been a little bit of a whirlwind with agencies just losing accounts and then having to find a new job. But
that's pretty typical, I think, right in that field. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing all that, Justin, and congrats on that. Sounds like fun stuff you're working on.
Thank you.
When we get back face to face, we'll have you back, and I'm sure we'll invite Rachel and Chris back at some time too, face to face. So thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah, thank you.
So switching gears a little, Rachel graduated in 2018, and she is at Michigan State working on her master's in communication, which is my alma mater where I also did my master's degree. So it makes my heart full of pride to see one of ours over there. And just so y'all know, I invited 3 of my favorite students back here. So that was part of how I picked. So I thought it would be fun. Like I said, the diversity, but they also happen to be some of our, some of our best and favorite students in our department. So Rachel, why don't you tell us what you're working on there at Michigan State?
Sure. So like you said, my name is Rachel. Sorry, my cat is jumping all over the place. The joys of Zoom. But like Karen said, I am a second-year master's student at Michigan State right now. So I am currently applying for PhD programs also in communication studies, so continuing on the academia track. But when I graduated from Albion, I actually think I had a similar conversation with that I don't remember who it was mentioned that they had with Cliff, but I had it with Andy Boyan, who used to be with the department in communication, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, if I wanted to go to grad school or if I wanted to find a job. And I had kind of let a lot of deadlines pass me by, and I was at that point just kind of like applying to a couple of places that didn't require like the GRE entrance exam. And Andy Boyan was kind of like, just take a year. He was like, just take a year, find something. I had some job offers at the time. He was like, take one of the job offers and then kind of see how it goes. And so I ended up in Grand Rapids after Albion, where I worked for a small hand tool company called Tecton. And I was started as a digital account associate there, worked up to a digital account manager role, working with Amazon. So I was doing all of their Amazon marketing services, all of their content pages. It was a small company, so I got a lot of, I got to do a lot, which was fun. I got to wear a lot of hats. But I realized that even though it was probably the most I would ever like a job like that, working in marketing and working with clients and in business, I did not like it enough. So great company, great people, but I realized that my love of research, which I had realized during my first SCA that I did when I was at Albion my junior year, also with Andy, that interest was more than just,
or just transient. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It was something that I definitely wanted to go back to. So, and then this was, it's a whole big process for anyone else who's applied to graduate schools. So I started thinking about this, I think at the end of 2018, took the GRE, started applying for schools that winter, and then found out, I asked Karen to write one of my letters of rec, and had a great, I reached out to, I think, all of my professors from Albion while I was in that process, at some point or another, asking them for advice about where to apply, how to do so, what should I look for in a program. Met with my advisor at Albion was Megan Hill, and so I met with her in person a couple times, pre-COVID times, and so she was a great aid as well. Ended up at Michigan State because I loved the program, really got the good feelings when I went to visit there, similar to when I first visited Albion. And also because I applied for a teaching assistantship there, and when my now boss saw that I went to Albion, she called up Andy Boyan, who she had been in the PhD program at Michigan State with, and he sang my praises. And so she hired me on the spot and didn't even interview me, literally just based off of what he said. She just called me and was like, "So do you want a job?" And I was like, "Yes." So it pays for my school, so I don't pay anything for tuition, and it also gives me a stipend that I can live off of, which is amazing. So I get to, keep living this dream. I currently am doing persuasion research, particularly emotional research and health campaigns. So that's really awesome hearing about the health adaptations. We have a really cool lab that we just set up where we're going to test like eye tracking, galvanized skin responses, heart rate, all these different really cool things. We can't do it right now because of COVID, but hopefully we'll be able to get into that lab that we all trained in and spent a bunch of money getting all set up in time. So hopefully getting into that soon. But we've been doing a lot of research with understanding how college students see COVID and how to best present COVID, like preventative health campaigns, what works, what doesn't, based on the audiences that are getting them. I also work in political communication, so that's been fun this year in particular. But my thesis is working on how to best get young people to vote. So get out the vote campaigns, doing some work on that as well. But I think that's most of what I've been up to.
That's all very awesome and timely. Yeah. That's exciting. I didn't tell you this, Rachel, yet either. We just ordered some emotion recognition software from iMotions, and we're going to be setting up a lab. We finally got some lab space for our department too, so we're going to be able to start doing this. I know.
Very cool.
All right, so last but not least, I want to introduce Chris, and he's our most recent graduate. Chris Bell graduated 2020, and I'm sure he knows more than all of us the trails and tribulations of trying to end the school year during the pandemic. And also the pandemic robbed us of seeing him in the hallways that whole last semester, because we didn't get to see all of our seniors, and that was really heartbreaking for all of us, and I'm sure that was difficult for Chris too. But Chris is an assistant store manager, I think, here in Albion, right? Oh, no, okay, unmute yourself. I can't hear you.
No, sorry. I thought you were going to keep talking. That's my
No, that's all right. I want you to talk, because you're more interesting than me.
No, so I have a question. Where was all this when?
I know.
Like the first, actually, I wasn't even there the first half of senior year, so it's fine.
I know. I'm excited about it.
No, you're good. Like Karen mentioned, I'm Chris. I graduated in 2020, which was It's been a tough year, to be honest. I think we can all agree on that. But while at Albion before graduating, I did study communication. I was a Comm general major, and that's pretty much the only thing I did. So luckily for me, I got to focus all of my attention on Comm and then do some other stuff around that. So I was also, I was in a couple plays while I was at Albion. Actually ended up earning an award for one of the shows that I did. So very, very proud of that. And I was also a member of the cross country team while I was there as well. I was a tour guide, and I also worked at the Dow Center. So I kept myself a little bit busy, but that's just me and like my personality. Also, while studying at Albion, I did get a chance to study off campus at the Philadelphia Center, which personally for me was the most life-changing experience that I've ever had. And if I could give any piece of advice to any student who's thinking about studying off campus, like I would say to do it. But other than that, in July after graduation, I decided to, my girlfriend and I decided to pack up all of our stuff. She's from Wisconsin, I'm from Michigan, and drive all the way down to Florida.
Oh, okay.
So I currently live in Tallahassee, Florida, which is about 1,000 miles away from where I currently have resided my whole entire life. And the longest I've been away from home was that Philadelphia experience. So I was off campus for that. And then while I was in Albion, I worked at Dollar General, and I kind of was working. Honestly, I was part-time, but I worked like I was full-time. I was putting in 50, 60 hours a week because we were short-staffed. So I know how to work hard, which is something I credit to going to Albion. But once I got here, I actually transferred to a Dollar General down here, which surprisingly, after getting a couple no's, I actually got a yes from a guy who was willing to take a chance. Really great store manager he is. And about a month into that, I got a promotion. So now I am the assistant store manager, and I'm probably the youngest assistant store manager that the store has ever had. So I'm only 22. So like everybody else was talking about like the past and stuff. Like I don't have that much history behind me, I guess. Like, but.
Hey, you got a job during COVID, right? I mean,
yeah, that's true.
And you already got promoted in that job, so.
Everybody else is doing amazing things.
But you are, and you will too. Like I said, I wanted to get a variety of my grads, and including the newly ones, right? So we knew what people were doing right out of the gate.
Yeah. So right now I'm currently in the process of trying to still work through COVID, but also I'm trying to apply to jobs, which is obviously really, really hard. And I don't remember his name, but he went first.
Justin.
He graduated. Justin.
Oh, yeah, Justin.
Okay, yeah. Justin. So he was talking
also
about
loved the Philadelphia
advertising and
Center.
marketing. And I was like, that is literally what I did while I was at the Philadelphia Center. So now I wish that I was at Albion again, and I could have done like some sort of integrated marketing major or minor, like into that path, because I find it interesting. But that's pretty much it for me. Pretty basic.
Well, thank you guys all for
go
sharing
anywhere
what
and
you were
anything.
doing. Like I said, I wanted a representation of the different fields people go into in different years of graduation. So thank you all for participating tonight and coming. It's so good to see your faces. I'm going to turn it back over to Hannah now, because I think we went over our time. So
that's okay.
One more quick thing, everybody. Chris and I only knew each other because we're both in Albion a lot, and of course we see each other on campus. But he's a really interesting and motivational person. Everywhere he goes, things are more interesting and cool. Plus, he made me cry when he did that play. So yeah, you should check him out if you haven't know. But he's really amazing.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, dude.
Are you serious? Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's quite an accomplishment.
I got something in my eye. It wasn't your acting.
Very humbling. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing about your lives and we're excited to shut off the recording here in a minute and let everybody unmute their mics and talk. But I have 2 announcements before our scheduled programming is up. One is this kicks off many homecoming events. So if you want to register for homecoming and other events this week, go ahead and jump on that link in the chat. And then our next web series event is going to be November 18th. We're going to have Jess Roberts and some of the students involved with the Big Read here in Albion on to share a little bit about this COVID version of the Albion Big Read. So we're excited, and President Johnson's going to be on too to talk a little bit about how we're going to continue to partner with the city of Albion. And we just think the Big Read is such a great example of the college and the community coming together. So those are our 2 announcements for tonight. Thanks everybody for coming. Go Brits, and feel free to unmute and say hi to people.